Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be quite a difficult one to do. This is going to be my complete collection of Zombie 1 to 8. When I started putting this video together, I knew there was going to be more than 8 movies there, because you might say, oh, well, you just show 8 movies and that's the end of it. Far from it. This is the most confusing saga, series, franchise, whatever that you will ever find in cinema, as far as I'm concerned. And I can bet you that I haven't included all of them. In 1978, it all stems from Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero classic masterpiece. He had a producer as well, Dario Argento. And Dario Argento said, when he was doing it, he said, would you mind? Well, obviously, he would have a chat with him and said, would you mind if I went across to Italy, cut my own version of the movie, put some more music onto it, and released it over there as my version of it? So he went and did that, and the Argento cut is on here. I have got the big 4K box set, but I'm showing this one for my good friend Dave Ramsden as my prop for this one. This came out, and it's known as Zombies Dawn of the Dead. It's got a few titles. These movies have got a lot of different titles. It's honestly, it's mind bending when you get into this. If I get through it, I will be amazed. So it all starts off with Dawn of the Dead, or Zombies Dawn of the Dead. That's how I knew when I went to see it at the cinema on re-release in about 1982, 83, and had a blast with it. It's an absolute classic. So there you have 2 zombies already. So Zombie 1 is definitely this one, the Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero cut, and also the Argento cut, which is a great cut. It's a slightly different flavour, and it's more like an action, no comedy in it, or pathos. This one spawned the whole thing with a big help of other Italian directors. There's another one that came out in 1985 called Zombie 1, just a short film. It's only 15 minutes long. Haven't seen it, but it looks pretty crazy. And will I try and watch all of these movies? I might try and watch them all. I bet that you can't see half of these movies. It's just amazing what's been lumped into this bracket of zombie. So you've got 2 cuts of the movie. You've got the US one, Dawn of the Dead, or Zombies Dawn of the Dead, over in UK. And also, Argento took it over to Italy and called it Zombie. And you would think, well, that's zombie done, isn't it? Far from it. So as well as that, you've also got this as zombie. This is the Fulci movie, Zombie Flesh Eaters. Now remember that name, because you're going to hear that a lot more in here. So this came out as well as Zombie. Now, this is strange because, well, I'll get more into this when I talk about Zombie 2, but yeah. So you do know that you've got this one. You'll see a lot more of this one as well. This is the 4K from Blue Underground. Looks absolutely amazing. This is the DVD of Zombie. This is from my good friend Chris Soto. You all right, Chris? And he sent me over a box set of all these movies. So this is all to do with Zombie. So your first one is a Dawn of the Dead, and also the Fulci one we know as Zombie Flesh Eaters. That's under the bracket as Zombie 1. Also, there is, forgive me looking at my sheet here, there is Zombie 1. It is from 1995. It's 15 minutes long. It's just a short tale, and I've never seen it, but it looks pretty crazy. So, if you think that was difficult, wait till you see the other ones coming up. So, on to Zombie 2. So in Zombie 2, this is where things get confusing. And if you think Zombie 2 is bad, wait to see the other ones. So because the Argento cut of this was released as Zombie, when they went and done the unofficial sequel to it, which was this, Zombie Flesh Eaters, they couldn't call it Zombie again because Zombie had already been done with Dawn of the Dead. This is going into Italian market. So they had to call this one Zombie 2. Now, it's quite confusing this because this is obviously you've got Zombie Flesh Eaters, Zombie, and Zombie 2. So when you're talking about some of these movies, when you're saying to somebody about Zombie Flesh Eaters 5 and 6 and 4 and 3, people can think of plenty of different versions of them and they might not be thinking of the one that you're thinking of. Because usually you've got to precursor it with zombie, but not zombie. You've got to take Zombie Flesh Eaters as Zombie 2. My God, I don't know if I'm going to get through this one. So Zombie 2 is Zombie Flesh Eaters. We'll call that Zombie Flesh Eaters. So obviously in the UK at this point, you had the Zombie Flesh Eaters. I want to thank my good friend Michael Witchy for getting me this tape. It's absolutely brilliant. I love looking at it. It's one of my favourite items on my shelves. So we knew this as Zombie Flesh Eaters. We didn't know this as a sequel to anything because it's an unofficial sequel. It's a sequel to an Italian version of Day of the Dead. Now that one doesn't resonate with us because we didn't know that was happening over there for a long time. So when we saw this, this is when we, the English sort of market, seemed to get very confused about this because I think, hang on a minute, this has got that name or this name or that name. It's got two names. You know, you're thinking this movie's come out with Zombie, but it's not. It's called Zombie Flesh Eaters. What's all that about? So obviously, with going through these, I mean, this has been years that I knew this was happening. And this is the first time I went back to it and try and looked and said, well, what other ones are out there? And I thought, my God, it's never ending this search. So yes, so Zombie 2 can also be Zombie Flesh Eaters. And you may think, well, that's it. Far from it. Also known as Zombie 2, and this is in certain districts. It's not like ones that's all in Italy. It could be other parts of the world, Australia, maybe Taiwan, Tibet, who knows, Peru. So another Zombie 2 is Day of the Dead. Now I can see them saying this. I want to thank my good friend John Hall for giving me this amazing umbrella version of Day of the Dead. And I can see this being a Zombie 2 because of Zombie Flesh Eaters. Dawn of the Dead. This is the sequel to Dawn of the Dead, so I can imagine them calling this Zombie 2. I would imagine this would have been called Zombie 2. It couldn't have been called Zombie 2 in Italy. This is going to be a long video. And so yes, so this is another. This could be. I mean, we don't know. We don't think of it as that, but I'm just amazed that these things have been lumped into this category. Now you've got to imagine. Imagine if you put a movie out. If you tagged a zombie onto it, it might get people thinking, "Hang on a minute, is this part of the franchise?" Now, there's no spoiler alert. None of these, apart from well, even Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead, don't have anything to do with each other. They're in the same universe, but none the same characters. So I think that none of these here I'm going to talk about are anyway sequels to any of the movies. They're all unofficial ones, which makes it even worse, doesn't it? So anything can be lumped in, and to tell you what, everything has been lumped into this one. So yeah, another Zombie 2 is Day of the Dead. And you might think, well, it can't get any stranger. But look at this one. Another Zombie 2 is Zombie 3. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this one a little bit later on. I didn't know this was classed as Zombie 2. I know it's got a lot of different avenues and names you can get into it. But wow, this is when you think, I don't understand this. But what had happened was that it's weird that Zombie, and this is the sequel to Zombie, or Zombie Flesh Eaters. This is the next one, which is also called Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. This is the sequel, but it's this in the same, it's classed as the same name. It's also lumped into Zombie 2, Zombie 3. This is nuts. It really is. I knew this was going to be hard, but when I'm talking about it, it's getting even harder. So I'll come back to that one. So another Zombie 2 is Zombie 3. Can you see where I'm going with this one? So next up is Zombie 3, and first up is Zombie 3. Nice and easy, that one. This is the sequel to Fulci's previous movie, which was also called Zombie 2. So I can see where they're going with Zombie 3 because it is a sequel to that. So you've got that Zombie 3. So that one makes the most sense of these Zombie 3s. So you've got that one. Also, you have got, well, this is another DVD I've got of my good friend Chris Soto, and that's the American one. That's the American DVD of Zombie 3. So that's keeping up with that. And you would think that's good. So here's a swerve ball for you. There's Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, which is also Zombie 3. This was one of the most confusing things when I first heard about this. I think John Hall said to me, it started talking about these ones. I goes, well, I don't understand where these all fit in. So obviously in the UK, we had Zombie Flesh Eaters, and this is the sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters or Zombie. And they had to call it Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. But obviously in Italy it's called Zombie 3 because Zombie Flesh Eaters doesn't exist in Italy. So they haven't got Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. That's a UK title. So this is also called, so this has got two titles. So you've got Zombie 3 and Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 is Zombie 3. And of course, just to make things even more confusing is another Zombie 3 is Zombie Flesh Eaters 3. So you've got Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 and Zombie Flesh Eaters 3. Right, are you ready for this? There's quite a few Zombie 3s which would say, what? There's another one that's being lumped into the Zombie 3 category, It is The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. Here's the UK DVD, and here's the American Blu-ray. I do think there should be a 4K out of this one because I love this movie. Now, obviously, it's a zombie movie, but it's got nothing to do with the other ones. It's a standalone movie. There was no sequels to it. It didn't follow on from anything. It's quite like shot in UK as well, which is brilliant. And so, yeah, so this was called Zombie 3 as well. And I don't know where this was called Zombie 3, but it had a title in some areas of the world as Zombie 3. Also, as a Zombie 3 is Zombie Holocaust, which obviously isn't, but that's also been talked about as, Zombie 3. Here's the UK 4K of that. Another Zombie 3 is Nightmare City. And, I can see, well, there's zombies and stuff in this movie, but we've had a Zombie 3 out, like an official Zombie 3. Why is this all get lumped into it? So you've got that one. You've also got as well, which I heard about this one of the first ones I got, that was also called Zombie 3, and this was kind of like the most closest to the official Zombie 3. It is Burial Ground, was also called Zombie 3. Here is the UK 4K of that. So I hope you're not as confused as I am. So in various parts of the world, these are all known as Zombie 3. So let's try and bring some normality back to the proceedings when we talk about Zombie 4. So the first Zombie 4 I've got is Zombie 5. This movie, Killing Birds, is also known as Zombie 4, but to me, it's more known as Zombie 5, although I don't think it's got anything to do with zombies, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen it, but I haven't watched it all. It's not the best of films, that's all I'm going to say about that, but I do need to get back and rewatch it. So, you might think this is just getting me on the joke. So let's introduce this one. So here you got Zombie 4, After Death. Now, this makes more sense because this is more or less classed as Zombie 4. So you've got After Death there. So After Death, you would think, right, that's the official Zombie 4. That's good. So you say that's great. But of course, After Death is also called Zombie Flesh Eaters 3. Well, it has to be because this is the sequel, the unofficial sequel to Zombie 3. But in America, and sorry, in UK, we know it as Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, the other one. So he had to put Zombie Flesh Eaters 3 onto this one because we're kind of like one away from their thing because we started a different place that they did. So, this is just, when I was writing the list out, I was so confused and I was actually looking at the list a few times thinking, am I saying this right? Is this actually happening? So, yes, so you've got Zombie 4 and also a Zombie 4. You've got another one that's classed as Zombie 4 by some people. I don't know why. You've got Zombie Creeping Flesh or Hell of the Living Dead. That's the same movie. This is the Blu-ray and this is the 4K. So if you're asking somebody somewhere what said about Zombie 4, and they might say, oh yeah, that's Zombie 4, and you say, it's not, But it's different how, certain countries have different rules for these counting things, which is just, it's beyond belief actually, because I knew this was crazy the way this was set up. I didn't know it was this crazy. So yeah, this is also classed as Zombie 4 to some areas. So getting back to Zombie 4, yeah, Zombie 4. There is another couple there, which I haven't got. There's one called Panic from 1982, starring David Warbeck. It was quite good movie, actually. And it's also known as Baker Terrian. I think that's what it's called. And also a 1973 film called The Virgin Among the Living Dead. 73, when the first one was in 79. Can you see where this is going? I think what they were doing was they were just getting anything. They were just slapping the zombie on it and putting a number on it to make this like sell a little bit like Snuff did when they just got this old movie and they stuck some in the end that says, oh, this is a great movie. It's a Snuff movie. It's not, though, but it's just false advertising, really, when you think about it. So, yeah, so Zombie 4, quite confusing. So, Zombie 5, we'll keep it nice and easy. This is the US one, the one of Chris Soto, and also this UK Blu-ray. Great presentation, this. And so, yeah, that's what I know as, that's the one that gets talked about a lot as Zombie 5. But don't forget, this has got nothing to do with the other ones at all. And when you watch it, you would think, what on earth, how has this got the moniker of Zombie 5 or anything to do with the zombie franchise? Because it just has got it's just literally nothing like it. It's not even directed by any of the same people. It's just a number just tagged on. So, as well, you may think, well, that's quite easy. So, also, Zombie 5 is what the old friend we talked about as Zombie 4 is also Hell of the Living Dead or Zombie Creeping Flesh. There's also called Zombie 5 as well, just for a laugh, why not? If they want to confuse you anymore, they just think, well, why don't we call this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? Why not? So yeah, so that's another Zombie 5. And also, there's a couple of one here that I haven't seen before. There's one called Vengeance, Vengeance of the Zombies from 1973, and another one called Revenge of the House of Usher. I don't know why they put these in Zombie 5 because they've got nothing at all to do with them. Well, none of them have got anything to do with any of the other ones. So that's Zombie 5. So Zombie 6 arrives and just clutching at straws now. First up is Dawn of the Mummy. Why? I've got no idea. Next up is Oasis of the Living Dead. This is a Jess Franco movie. This is the band Video Nasty, actually. It's on section 3. It's an awful movie, but it's fun, but it's a hard work to get through it. And I just have got no idea. Zombie 6, and also which got me into thinking about this. Absurd is classed as Zombie 6 as well. It's got nothing to do with zombies at all. It's more like a serial killer. I know he's kind of like a zombie, but it's nothing to do with what I would consider to be a zombie movie at all. And I couldn't believe this is being lumped in the franchise. Obviously, I don't think the directors wanted anything to do with it. It's just marketing. Probably just said, "Oh, just stick that as Zombie 6," and just maybe people will fall for it. It's slightly getting nuts now, and so yeah, that's Zombie 6. So Zombie 7, and I never knew they got to this number, is Night of the Seagulls, which is also the last in the Blind Dead 4 movies, I think, 3 or 4 movies, and it is got zombies in it, but wow, why didn't they put the other ones in, or why didn't they put the better known ones? I don't know why they put these birds thing in, killer birds, killing birds, Night the Seagulls. Tell you what, it's like Day the Seagulls out there with the seagulls nesting on the roofs and that. But yeah, so that's so tenuous to just stick one of the Blind Dead franchise into there. Nuts. And also, they've got one called Zombie 90, which is another one which is just, I think it's Andreas Schnass, I think he's called Schass. And I'm starting to lose the will to live, actually. When you think to yourself, I wish I'd never started this. But yeah, so this just shows you just anything's getting thrown into it. I've never seen this movie, actually. Haven't seen any of I think I've seen some of the Blind Dead movies, but not all of them. So that's Zombie 7. So last up, thank God, is Zombie 8. And you may think, well, it's just one of them, isn't there? No, of course, there's 2. First off, you do have Variant, which is from 2020. I think it's a short movie. Obviously, never seen it. And also, you do get Urban Decay from 2020. So now while we're up to modern day times. I do think that this franchise, which is crazy beyond belief, is dead in the water. I like to think it's dead in the water. So now what I do now is I'll quickly show you how I would treat this if I was going through this franchise. Actually, I'm just thinking you could probably lump anything into this video. So here's Zombie 9, Paranorman. Yeah, I'm surprised nobody's done that. So first up, I would say Zombie 1 is Dawn of the Dead. Nice and easy. Next is Zombie 2 is Zombie. This is Zombie Flesh Eaters by Lucio Fulci. Next is Zombie 3, which is called Zombie 3, also by Lucio Fulci, 1988. Next is Zombie 4, also called After Death. Nothing to do with the other ones, not the same director or anything, but I would say that to me is the one I would class as Zombie 4. And lastly, I would say is this Zombie 5, Killing Birds, even though it's got little or nothing to do with the other ones. Even the other ones, the first 3, you can kind of say, fair enough. Zombie 4 is a little bit, it's a good movie, but you just think, what? This one, it's not a great movie, and I don't know what the bird thing is all about, and I don't know how it ever got Zombie 5 moniker on it. And then I would say, that's it, you're done. There's no 6, there's no 7, there's no 8, there's no part 2000. They've got nothing to do with it. And all the ones that they say, oh, that's part 6, you just say, no, it's not. Just forget all about that. But it's interesting to actually look at these for the first time and say, right, I'm just going to put them all together and see what they look like. And I tell you what, my brain is frazzled from going through this. And most times you just think, all right, I've enjoyed making this video, but I can tell you point blank, I haven't enjoyed making this one. It has been a right head buster. And thank God it's come to an end. So on that bombshell, I would say, thanks for watching. You take care. Go and have some paracetamol, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.